This is going to be a good one. I hope. It's blessed me just to even think about this. How to make homeschool more fun. Going back about 2 years, I found myself suddenly alone with my youngest son. And I realized that while we were moving academically forward together, I didn't have his heart. I didn't have his attention. I wasn't seeing the gleam in his eye. And so in this video, I want to talk to you about how to make homeschool more fun, how to be more intentional, a secret tool, watercolor brush, and then to invite you to try this at home. So my son was probably in 8th grade, 9th grade. I honestly can't totally remember, but I could see that his eyes weren't twinkling. This is the same time in his life that I was trying to teach him about fungus, and he's like, I don't care about fungus. And I learned the lesson about being intentional. Sometimes the best thing that we can do to help make homeschool more fun is to slow down and to lean into something that our kids enjoy, or that it's so different that they can't help but be intrigued. And in that process, it helps to grab their heart. So I took my bored son to a bookstore, and we looked for an art thing that we could do together, because I told him, let's do this once a week for about half an hour. Let's just sit quietly and do art together. And the book that he came up with, that he grabbed, was this Watercolor with Me in the Forest. He completely got me with this one, because look at the illustrations. They're gorgeous. Let's see if I can get my thing. They're absolutely gorgeous. And what I loved about this book, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a pencil outline, and then it'll have a tutorial. It'll tell you a little bit about the nature thing, and then it gives you some ideas about what paints to use, and then walks you step by step how to watercolor. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to do my favorite one, which is this little feather. Not beautiful? I just did it right now, so it's not dry and it's not perfect, but I fell in love with watercolor. So we went to the store, we got the watercolor book, and then we went to the art store and we actually picked up just a cheap set of watercolors. And then we started to spend time together once a week. Mama, if you are having a hard time connecting with your kids, set aside 15 minutes or 20 minutes a week. It's not a lot, 15 or 20 minutes a week, where there's no devices, no distractions, but then you do something hands-on together. Do something that pulls them in, whether it be watercolor or Lego or sewing or archery, or find something, but lean into what it is that your kids love to do. This coincided with the season in life that my son was also studying mushrooms. And it was just one of those serendipitous type things. So we worked on watercolor. This is his. He was like, I don't know, 14, 15. So we worked on doing watercolor mushrooms, and then and we'd play with just how to make the watercolors different intensities. We worked on doing acorns, and then even things like the little trout swimming along the way. Super, super fruitful time together, because we had pressed aside all of the things that were causing stress and tension. And academics are good, but academics don't need to be textbooks and worksheets. This was an absolute academic lesson in patience, and I'm going to show you how to do the feather. Well, let's see if I can get to where I am. So an absolute lesson in patience and being intentional in life. And so the way that the feather works, is you're going to outline the feather. I wonder if I have a pencil. pencil so that you can see. Let me show you here first on this paper towel. So you're going to paint with just plain water. You're going to paint so that the feather has a white space where that rib of the feather is. So this is going to be a paint of water, and then you're going to create the feather outline just with water on the paper. And then you're going to drop some watercolor here, and it's going to bleed in. So let me show you how it works. Super, super fun. You won't be able to see it at first, so you'll have to hang back and wait just a second. So I have water right here. I'm just going to paint a line with the water, which of course I can see, but you can't. And then I'm going to paint the feather, one side of the feather, and then the other side of the feather, leaving a space in between the rib. You want to use actual watercolor paper for this. It's specially made to help the watercolor paints move along. So now I'm going to pick some watercolors. I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to do purple, and I'm going to go to the very end and start dropping some watercolors in there. And you can imagine, as my son and I are sitting there and we're practicing watercolors, we made tea and we just sat and we enjoyed the quietness of the day together. It's one of my favorite seasons in homeschooling so far. So, and I just picked up a different color. So now I picked up some pink, and I'm adding some pink in there. And it's just going to bleed in up with the water that's already there. I'm going to add some blue because blue is pretty on these. And I can tell I don't have enough water, so I'm going to come back in. I'm just going to drag this down. I'm going to drag with my watercolors, trying to avoid that rib of the feather. I'm just going to pull the paint down. Being intentional is hard because we want to run like our hair's on fire. We want to have 100 million things to show off when grandma comes to visit, or when the public school teacher next door asks what we've been working on. You know, we want to be able to say, oh, we're doing all these 40,000 things. But in reality, you get more from slowing down with your kids than you do for going crazy. In doing something like a watercolor of a feather, you're teaching them that it's okay to slow down. You just don't have to run. You know, life is, and now I'm just gonna pull some wispies out to the side. You don't have to always be running like your hair's on fire. So how do you make homeschool more fun? Sometimes fun isn't like screaming excitement. Sometimes fun is just slowing down and just doing something that our kids enjoy, and maybe learning a skill along the way. So now it's not perfect because I'm doing it online, but I just think that these are just gorgeous watercolors. And the reason that it was such a fruitful activity with my son was that I had his whole attention. This is one of his. It's a fish. It's a trout. For 15, 30 minutes, it was just him and I sitting quietly at a table, painting. It was such a wonderful, sweet, relaxing season in homeschool. So I'm going to encourage you to lean in to something that your kids love to do, whether it's watercolors, and try to pick something that's different that you haven't tried before. Find some kind of kit that is kind of a virgin kit, a virgin puzzle, a virgin Lego. I loved we went to our local bookstore, and I fell in love with the Dana Fox's artwork. It's just fantastic. So if I go just to even her feather page, which is what we just did live online, they make beautiful bookmarks. So here is her feather page. You can see that all the step-by-steps are here, but I love this because not only is it gorgeous, it has sketches for you to follow along, so you can actually watercolor right inside this book. And you can probably find these at thrift stores and stuff, or even at your local arts and crafts store. A book like this turned into an entire year of art with my son and I. And it also then serendipitously wove right into the lesson that we were learning together on fungus. So that's kind of it. One of the tips for making homeschool more fun is to be intentional. Find an out-of-the-box project that you can do together by purposing to slow down and to push something else aside to make room for something sweet and wonderful and beautiful that you can do together. And then make it a date. Make it a special time. Now, if you're outnumbered by kids, I get it. I get it. You can either stack the kids so that week 1 is this child, week 2 is this child, week 3 is this child. Make it special, make it intentional, and give yourself the space to breathe and just enjoy doing something side by side with your kids. And that is fun. So anyway, have a great day. I will see you in the next video.